also watches, or how to check it. Okay. Okay, so today we will talk about next.js and what are possible use cases for this framework, where it sits, like in the stack, and also we'll discuss its pros and cons, and then I will show you actually the live application, and I'll also focus on how to connect GraphQL server to the application made with next.js. And probably you already read about this framework. It is basically an alternative to such backend frameworks as Express and Happy, etc. But it's made exactly for React and gives you many opportunities out of the box. And for example, server-side rendering and others. So we'll go first from the best use case, and I think that best use case for this framework is a website that is huge on content, and if you need server-side rendering for some cases, and if, for example, you need some simple structure for your website, for your application, I think for internal apps, for enterprise applications, it also can fit, but probably you will not need server-side rendering for this kind of applications. And I chose it for my side project because it's actually like content-centric website. It needs to be rendered by search engines well, be ranked well, and also server-side rendering. It gives developer like opportunity to have really fast first page load speed. And I created this slide, kind of cluttering, but I wanted to put all pros and cons on the one slide. And the one of main pluses is server-side rendering set up, and it isn't also only like set up as you can do with React normally, but it also gives you auto routing feature. It means that in the root of your application you have the public folder, pages folder, and then in the pages folder you create actually files, JavaScript files, and each file automatically creates its own route. So basically, if you create, for example, index.js in that pages folder, then if you go to the localhost, just normal first page, then that component that you get in the index.js, it will be rendered. And the same, for example, if you create, I don't know, about page, it will also automatically create the route for localhost, for example, / about. And I will show you the details on the routing later. So, and also you can see here that hot code reloading is supported, static file serving. It means that you have also in the root of your application this static folder, and you put there images, fonts, and other static stuff. And then inside the application, you can just go to just put the static / and the name of your file, and you get that file available. And in the address bar in web browser, you also can access those files from the static path. Like you write a localhost static and then the name of the file with extension, and you get the file. So this is supported out of the box. Also, you can populate the head of your applications. Application means like you can put title there, headers, etc. And you can have one header for all application, and from different pages you can also modify this header. Like, for example, if you want to modify title, that you do most of the time. And also like those additional bonuses as error pages, and also quite big feature here that is set up for you is automatic code splitting. It means that every page gets exact only that JavaScript that is needed for rendering, not more. So and this works out of the box too. And yeah, of course, like Webpack is under the hood, and it is configured so V8 it transpiles all that V8 supports at current moment, and build-in is also configured. It supports the CSS and JavaScript, and the company that stays created next.js, they also created this library style J6. It is kind of similar to styled components, but with different syntax. It works like that you put the style J6 tag in the root of your components tree, and it influences only those components that are in this component tree. And yes, but it has also its cons, of course, because sometimes the third-party plugins that you want to use, they may not support the server-side rendering. And for example, if you give this message in console log that your structure of your DOM is not the same as the structure of your tree in on the server, like for example, IDs of divs are not the same, because for server-side rendering we still React still generates the data ID attribute, and these attributes that need to be the same on the client and on the server. And for this, the plugins that you use, the libraries, they need to support the server-side rendering. And for example, there were first problems with CSS libraries like styled components, and I also tried to connect the material UI here, but hopefully, like not hopefully, but it's happening that developers of those libraries, they fix those issues quite fast. And also there is non-standard routing approach. If you get used to React Router, then you will somehow need to teach new approach here, but it's very simple and very intuitive, so there will be not problems at all, because it's damn simple, like stupidly simple. And one more minus, it is opinionated. But this configs of Webpack, of interpolation and stuff, they can be configured. And also the rendering algorithm, it can be configured. So it can be customized a lot. And yeah, as I already told you, that third-party packages may lack server-side rendering support. And in the first one, I focused on CSS solutions. So there are still some quirks, but if you use that library that they ship with the next.js, that style.js, that's also very simple, then you will not have problems at all with CSS. And if you have problems with some plugins, then just contact their developers, and or just fork that plugin and try to help it to itself. And so I will tell a few words about how data fetches and how rendering happens. So each high-level container, I mean the files in the pages folder, your pages actually, it by default it gets the context property, and inside that context property you have path name of current URL, you have query that it's inside URL, you have all information of request, response, and you also have response in the form of JSON that is available on the client, and you also have the error information. So it's kind of, for me, it's really helpful because every time you open some page, you get a lot of information about this. And you actually, in this case, it leverages some functionality of React Router and you don't need, for example, to connect your URL information, your location information to Redux and get it from there. So it's really helpful. it's not quite helpful. It's really helpful. And this get initial props, this function is called on each load of this kind of pages of these high-level components, and it is async. So it starts to render your component only after all the information is loaded, and it returns you promise, so you can then work with this promise as you want with this information. And so you work with this promise. Actually, you can modify it, and what it returns, it will be saved into the props of this high-level component. So the routing here. So as I already said, all the files in the pages folder, all your pages, like literally your pages of your website, they are loaded only after the server generates the HTML string. It sends HTML string to the client and it's rendered. Big plus for content-centric web pages is that the text that sits in the page, it is available in the source of the page. Because it's rendered on the server, all the text is available to the crawlers, to the search engines. Yeah, so this is why it can help you with ranking in search. But yeah, Google, I know it's already also can crawl JavaScript and get text from there, generate it itself. But anyway, this approach is more convenient as I see it. And also other search engines, I don't know about the Czech Republic, but about Yandex, it's already crawls JavaScript normally, but who knows? And server-side rendering also gives you additional pluses, like fast first load of your application. And also this routing mechanism, it allows you to get the lazy loading of your components. So it doesn't wait for all components to, so it loads basically components one by one on your page, renders one by one on your page. And also you don't need to know ahead of time all your routes, because you just create the file and it automatically becomes the route. And you can, they have API for middleware, like if you go to this route, this happens, etc. So very flexible. It's not limited only to this. And I will show you a few more examples how you actually create links here. So it's very easy. You know that in your pages folder there is, for example, contacts.js, and you just import link from next link, and you just put their link and then your path name here, that contacts, and it works basically. And also you can give it not only the string format, but also like object format. I think it's Node.js URL something object format here, and you can give it all the fields that are available in that Node.js object URL API. And yeah, so after you actually give it this object, it gets the path name from here, the query here, and it generates you the normal link here. So it's much more readable, as I think. And also you can use this redirection stuff and like how to say it, like when you do it implicitly, programmatically. So yeah. you can import the router itself and do this stuff, redirect, push, and that's etc. And you can also give it the URL object, as you see in the middle here.
What about parameters and stuff? You can do that too.
Parameters, yeah, you give it basically through the query here, so you can get it, because the basically each page will get these values here. Mm-hmm. Like the component, the page that sits there, it will get this from that context object that I was talking about. Yeah. Path name, query, and what you also give it, like decorator for URL or something. So I didn't go deep. I just took what I needed. So for me, it's enough like to have this. Yeah. You just then go to props. You get this limit here. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so one really nice feature that I really like is ability to prefetch JavaScript from the pages on the screen. So, for example, you have your header, like menu, and the user loads your front page, but you have some more page there, like some catalog stuff, like shop and etc. And it prefetches only JavaScript. It doesn't prefetch data, because if it would prefetch data, it would be fucking slow. Mm. So it's just a load JavaScript code. It caches the React component tree basically for each of these pages, and then if you go there, you already have preloaded JavaScript, and you only need to fetch data to render the page. And it works only in production. So when I will show you the demo, we will work mostly in development mode. Perfection doesn't work there, so the pages do not load so fast as in production, but I will then show you in production, and you will be quite amazed, I think. Okay, so the next one is that, as I said, you can interact in go into this event of router and say like, I want to do something when you, for example, the route is changed. I want to just console log this, or I don't know, show it on the screen, something. And you can start listening to it, and you can stop to listen. Just assigning it to null. Yeah, this router is also shipped with next. You just import it as router import next / router. I think like this. Oh, data fetching. Yeah, when I was prepared, I moved data fetching to the start. So, and I will tell you that like main bundle is just kind of small, so it depends on you what libraries you use, etc. Yeah. And now it's the demo time here. Okay, so I have browser, I think, on this on the projector here. And yeah, so what is done here, I'll probably somehow open the text editor also here. Okay, so we'll close all this stuff and go through the structure first. Okay, let's say for the just what I edited there. So let's look at the structure here. Just ignore these guys here on top, but yeah, we can go inside it and see that all the bundling, etc., is stored here. You can get this distribute like bundle from there, publish somewhere. And I'll also like show you a really neat and easy way to deploy your next.js projects and also like static websites. I use this approach a lot now just to test stuff, and it is called Now. It is also made by Zate, the same company that made the Next. And you just go like from the console, from the terminal, you go in the root of the project, you just write Now, and it ships it to the auto-generated domain, and you can access it from there. If you have free account, then the only flow in having free account is that everyone can access the source, because they just can write the domain name /src, and they the page with the editor opens. And actually, it's very, very nice if you, for example, develop something, you can deploy there and send the link, and you even can highlight the code in the source and then send the link with the highlighted source. I'll show you that. If you will not be too lazy here. Yeah. Anyway, even with you guys, if you get lazy, you can go away. And I don't want it, but anyway, you will be able to watch the video later. Okay. I hope I still do things well. I'll just check it. Okay, I hope, guys, you can still see us normally. Okay, so let's go through the structure here. This we ignore it because it's just Visual Studio Code stuff here. And this is actually the pages folder. And as you see, it's self-explanatory here. The first page, index.js here, I have some services page, and I have contact page. That's just some basic stuff here. And base.js, it's actually the page when I show the list of universities, etc. Basically, the application is supposed to help people to apply to Czech universities. And yes, for example, this index.js, I import here some components. This app component is like container component here, and I will show it in a second. This header component, it just helps you to populate the head of your HTML. And in this case, I just populating it with the path name. And then basically on this page, you will see just hello world. And this underscore is just cosmetic thingy under the title, just underscore, It's not underscore library or something. So this page is very, very simple. And you see that I also cover it in this function with this data function, and I'll also show it to you. Basically, all these things that we imported, they sit in components folder here. And let's look first on the application here. Okay, so I import the head package here to populate the head of the HTML, as you see here. You just import it, just put it, and put their title, your normal like links for fonts and meta stuff, etc. And actually, in each children of this container, you also can import it and customize it for each page. As you see, yeah, we put children in here, and this is actually where that style.jsx library is used. You see that we do not import it because it is somehow imported automatically because it is shipped with next.js. And you see here that we just try this style tag, then JSX. I understand there's some attribute that has some stuff in it, just some sugar stuff here, I don't know. And this global, you say that it should work in the full application styles. And you just write normal CSS here, maybe it looks ugly or something, but it's up to you to modify your approach. And you just finish it with style here. Finish with style. Okay. And yeah, I just closed the tag here, the main. And you actually can see that this style sits in the root of this structure. And it will not influence the head component styles. It will oh, basically it will, but anyway it doesn't have any classes here or something. But it will influence all children's here. And if I would put it here in head, not in the root, that it would influence on the head. So it depends when you place this tag. It will influence everything that is on the same level and deeper. Okay, so this is our application file, and it is very important to go through these files here. You remember that we use the with data to like cover our app, this component here, and how it looks. Basically, it can be a bit misleading here because I start to use Apollo here for GraphQL, so it's probably can be difficult to understand what happens here. And this init client and init store, they are also because of GraphQL here. So we can ignore it for the moment. And as I told you, every component, every high-level like page, it will actually run this get initial props function on each load. It doesn't depend if it's load as a first page and rendered with server-side rendering, or you just open the page through link like on the client. So it will called every time you open the new page of your site. And here you see that the CTX is shortage for context. And from that context, as you may remember from the presentation, you have that request field, and you can get headers from there. Also, you can give those headers to another functions. For example, here I give it to init client, and this init client, it just generates Apollo service for you. Apollo, it is for GraphQL, and it generates Apollo client, so you can work actually with GraphQL. And this init store, you also import it from Apollo, and basically creates the store for you, because Apollo uses underhood Redux. It creates the store for you. It creates the router, reducer, etc. So if you're interested, we'll go into those two functions a bit later. But you don't need to know about them just to use next.js. Okay, so and the next one is actually you decide which props you give to those pages, because you just put it like const props and you create an object, and as I told you, each page will get that URL probably here, and if the internal component has this getInitial props function, it will also run, and you can modify the props even on the level of the page. Yeah, so and then you actually check if the process is in browser. Then if it is on the server, then you create this tree here, and then you using await asynchronously you get the data for your application. This function get data from tree. It is also from Apollo for GraphQL. So you basically how the loading of first page works. You request the page, like you open it in browser, then it generates the component tree. Then it loads the data for all the tree of your components, depending on the page you open. Like you have your React component tree, right? And then you, from each component, you understand the next.js understand what data you need, and Apollo understands it. And it gets all the data, and only after this, the server sends the HTML string, and then the routing goes. So, and it happens really fast, actually, because GraphQL works fast, and next.js works quite fast. Yeah, so on the first load, you actually do not see the rendering of components, so all the page is rendered at once. Yeah, so what we get here. Yes, so for you to understand, if on the first load, after you run this this function on, for example, you do not use GraphQL, you use something else, you also have some function to get data from the server, and this function should return promise. This function returns promise here, so all other strokes here or other lines are ignored on the first load because you returned from there. But on each client transfer to another page, these lines from 27, etc., they work. So they work like basically the same, but for client loading. And you can see that here we also like rendering this stuff here, so to actually render the stuff. Because from there we also only get data and the structure, and here we actually render it. And you can see here that Apollo provider is actually the container for Apollo stuff to work. And yes, so this is basically this file. It's called with data. Basically, this function is needed to get first initial props, to get the data, to populate the component tree, and basically for the first rendering and for all next client rendering stuff. And yeah, so here we have a simple reducer here that we create using Redux. And the only one reducer for our GraphQL to work, we need only this thing here. And we use this reducer. Why we do not we just export here function, as you see, and we use this reducer, I suppose, here in its store. Yeah, we import the reducer here, and we create store with only with that reducer, and we supply that function with the client. And client is basically that we get to in store function. So, and we give it here actually. Yeah, so we give it the object with headers. So we populate our reducer only with headers at the first load. Apollo reducer, I mean. And for you to know, like, because Apollo has Redux under the hood, it basically works the same as Redux, but it also helps you to get data using GraphQL. Yeah. And for you to see how I connect GraphQL here, actually, we go here in init client, and you need only to know the endpoint link for your GraphQL. I use external service for GraphQL. It's called GraphQL, and you can use it for free to some extent of traffic of requests. And yes, so if you're interested in trying this Apollo client, and if you actually choose some library to use for GraphQL, Apollo will pop up quite often. So it's quite popular choice here. Yes, so if you're interested, you should just go to API of Apollo. I do not want to spend time on this. And also I have here this middleware, and basically it needs to add DevTools of Redux to our browser, as you always do. So next.js does not ship this, of course, because it doesn't know that if we want to use Redux or Apollo or something. Okay, so we look through the application setup. That's it. And now I will go again to the index.js. And as I told you, we only have this stuff here. And it isn't interesting. And in the application, it looks like this. The same is the services page is not populated, contacts is not populated, and what is more or less populated here is this catalog page here. And I created this simple application for now, just to show you how the working with GraphQL actually happens. Basically, in this page, you see header, that underscore, and then the list of universities. There are only 2 universities for now. They are just fetch it using GraphQL here. And this is actually this base.js page here. As in previous example, we import app component header. We import with data function to populate this page with header information, URL and stuff. And here, that unilist component is actually the list of universities. The array component to render the list of universities actually, and we have submit component to submit to create new university in our database. And yeah, and we also have here that style. And as you see, we do not add the global tag here, like attribute here. And it means that we'll work only on these internals here. And if this underscore here, if it would be sit here, like between these guys, like on this level, and if I put this, if those styles stays here in article, they would not influence this underscore thingy here. So it's really useful here. If you do not want to influence any tags or components in your application, you can just put your styles like more deeply in the structure. And yeah, nothing interesting here, but when we go here to university lists, this is actually, if we go through this file, it will be probably enough for today, because you will understand how you connect to, how basically make a request to GraphQL, how you get the response to GraphQL and put it in properties, in props of your component. Then that's it. As you probably know, there are two types of queries that you can send to GraphQL. It's like basically query and mutation. And as you can see here, I use query on this page because I don't want to mutate anything. I just want to request universities. And I import this plugin here, basically GraphQL, and it is also shipped. No, it's I think it's an official library from Facebook, I suppose. And you import it, and it basically simplifies the creation of request object. And you just write it like this here. And this request thing, I did not get from my head or something, because I use that service here. Excuse me. Because I use that GraphQL service. Nope. GraphQL. They have here that playground. So basically, it is very easy, right? You have schema here. It looks like this. For example, I have schema for faculty or for university. I have connections here. For example, if I want to add new field, for example, I don't know, for university, I would know contacts, for example. There is no such field. Okay, so I just go through this constructor and put like contacts here. I put that it should be as a JSON something, and that I can store multiple values. I'm not sure, but probably yes, because one value would be address, etc. But it could be also in JSON, so I don't need this. We also have here advanced options, if its field is required or not in the request, and if it should be unique or not. I think it doesn't matter. I think every university will have unique contacts, but anyway, so yeah. I don't know why. Okay, you already have data, set up the migration. Okay, so yeah, because I have some data created, I need to do migration first, and then only I will be able to create this field. Okay. And I can also set the relations here, and I have relation to faculties here. Okay, so and here to the left we have this schema. So for example, can edit it, and if we don't want to use the service anymore, we just import the schema. I will do it probably in the future, because I was really lazy to set up my server. But you can, as you see here, there are a lot of features. So it's quite difficult to create these servers alone myself and that stuff. So probably I will just use this free version for quite a long of time. And actually the data here, and we go to university, and depending on what fields you created, you can actually add new items right here. You can edit right here by double click. Yeah, and the interesting thing here is that playground. So if you read about GraphQL, you probably also read about the tool Graphical. And these guys, this is actually editor when you can test your requests. And for example, this one is how I came to this request. Basically, I go to the docs here, and I know that I just want to require. I don't want to mutate, like to delete something to update, right? I just want to require, and I have all these possible queries here. Like I want to go get all universities, okay? And I see that type of each item is university. Yeah, and we can have filter here, say how many items we want to skip. And yeah, so if we want to go through the last element and get some 5 elements from the end or something, so it's very, very convenient, very easy, very nice. I like it. And basically, after you see some query here in the docs, you can try and play with them here. Basically, here we have some, it will be like query or mutation here. Then the name of this query or mutation that I would not call different way. I just call it the same as this query here. And you actually put types here that I want the ID that I get from the application to be a format ID, so it's additional security for application. And then you just here actually put these values, and these variables here you can write here and test it. So for example, I put this ID of some university ID that I already have. And this is mutation of like change university. And yeah, and in this case, I can send to the server this query with these new values for university because it's only the ID required. Even if I send only ID here, then it will like run, this query will run. And if I, for example, yeah, so you can check it here. And in this object, you can just show what you want to get in the response. Easy peasy. So after you play here, or you play in the official like graphical stuff, and it is very similar to this editor here, just the same, only white and not so pretty. And yeah, you just copy this result that you have here, and you just put it in your code. It is not the same as you said so here, but it's similar. Here in this example, I just want to get all the universities that I have in the database. And I tell that there are 2 variables that I need to supply. First and skip. First, it means how many elements I want to get from the start of all the universities of that array in the database. Not array, but you know, collection. And also, for example, I want to skip some amount of elements, for example, 10. And I use it actually for pagination. Very easy and really nice and neat. And as you see here, that I sent it the ID, name, URL, logo. No, I do not send it. I send only these 2 guys, and also ordering. GraphQL supports many types of ordering. Unfortunately, I didn't find ordering by name, so you should write it yourself. But you can order by created at, updated by IDs and that stuff. And also you can get the metadata for this type of query. And in this case, I just get the count, all the length of that collection. Because I will need it to compare with the length of collection that I got from the server. So in case if it's lower than this count, then I know that I can show the show more button, and I can render more items. So, and yeah, and this is the main thing here. You import this GraphQL function from React Apollo again, and as you see, I have here the post per page constant that I will use to put it here into the first attribute. And this function, it takes, I think, 3 arguments, yes. And the first one is your query that you created. The second one is options, and in these options you can actually place your variables. As you see, I don't want to skip any universities from the start, and I want 5 universities to show at once. And then as a third argument here to this function, I create an object for props here that I want actually to receive in my component in this page. So basically 3 things here. The first one is the query. The second one is variables that you want to put in the query, the values that you want to put in the query. And the third one is what you want to get. Because here you see that I receive from the running of this query with these values, I receive the data. This is actually the response here. And I can work with this data. And this, I can actually, in properties, I also can send this function here that's called load more, because I want to load more items. I will load them 5 by 5. This is for pagination. And basically, in the data here that you get, there is not only the object of universities or collection of universities. It is also some functions, some utilities that also go with this Apollo package, and you can use them. For example, they have this function fetch more, and in the first attribute you put the object variables, and you can modify actually those variables that you put at the start. So the first field, it still stays as a post per page constant 5. It still stays like this, but we can modify one field. It doesn't mean that we change the full object of variables. We change only that value. And in this case, we skip the length of universities that we already fetched, right? Because we will have it basically in our data object that we get as a response here. You see in props, like you get it as only one property. And inside it, you will have all universities. We'll have this fetch more and all other functions. And we get the length of fetched universities, and we skip them. And when we return this load more function at the end, we can call it and every time fetched next 5 universities. And here, as you'll also see, we have also the second attribute, not only the object of variables, of modified variables, but also the update query field. It is also is inside the API of Apollo. And this in this update query field, we give it the function, and we tell it how we want to update our query because of our changes. It doesn't like update query. It's how we want to update our response here, because we already got previous result that was cached, and we have all universities in there, and we get this fetch more result, and you can just read the Apollo documentation, and you get this fetch more result here in the second argument, and you can access it there. And you just concatenate, like you just create new array from your previous result that are cached, and you add this new fetched universities. And every time you call this load more function, you fetch 5 new universities all the time. Okay, that's it for this universities, guys. And we also have the styles here, and actually after we go to there,
Alex?
We get it in properties.
How much you still have in the presentation?
I think if you want, we can like finish now, because all the other information, like for now, to understand this thingy, like 5 minutes, and I have much stuff here, but it will be the same. It's more about like GraphQL again. It was about mutations and that stuff. So what's considering like Node.js, I covered, I think, everything I wanted. Yeah.
I think it's about time, because
Yeah, just 5 minutes and we'll finish then. So after you actually return your properties here, you return it from here, return this object, you get it in the properties of component itself. So the flow, it goes like you create the query you want to send to GraphQL. You use this GraphQL function, put that query, put that values that you want to put in the query, and then that function will return, like fetch the data from there, and it will give you output. You modify this output in the function in this, as you saw in this third attribute, and then it is available from the properties component, basically, and then you can render it. So here, as you see, it does not only give you the universities in the data, it also gives you the state of loading, of fetching, and that method that we want to get, and that load more function that we create. And if it's loading, we show something like some spinner or something, and we checked if there are more things just by getting the universities that we fetched and the information about all the length of the amount of universities. And if it is lower, then we know that it's true, and we can fetch more. And here I create this array here, this mapping of university preview, and it will actually render each preview of universities, as you saw there. And if there are more, then we will show the button here, and we'll call this load more function, and it will fetch 5 more universities every time. So basically that's it. And at the end of the page, I'll also have this. It is basically you have normal React component here. You get the values from inputs and text area, and you create the query for create university. it is mutation. It's not query, because when you create and deleting something or updating, it's always mutation in GraphQL. And you get these values, use them as a values for a request for GraphQL query. You put them, it will send you the result, that new university, and then you update the query here, so it gets all universities from the cache and adds this one. Or you can refetch this automatically also. And all this refetching, all this updating, you actually write in the same function when you work with data.
And don't you think that's like a little bit slower instead of just like pushing the new item that was added to the list directly, because you already have it in the client?
Because you need it to be cached.
I see. Okay.
And you actually work with Redux there. And if you basically do update, you're working with Redux and you send it to Redux.
I mean, yeah, you can send it to the server, but like just for the UI, why not just update it?
There is optimistic update.
Okay, so it's
basically, in my case, I do not use optimistic update. It will go through the server, then it will be fetched, and then it will be added.
Yes.
But you may, it is supported inside at Apollo that you can use optimistic updates.
Okay.
And with everything, not only with this. For example, I will just go to some university here, and I have this edit thing here, and I do then some new stuff here, and I will save it. Okay, for example, some shit here. I save it, and first you might notice that it was all data here, but then it refreshed, flicked, and put the new data. You can do optimistic update for this also, and it's very easy. You also write it in that function. So why I like it? Because it's really nice, concise, like comfortable system, and very logical. You cannot like be lost in this. So it's very user-friendly stuff here. Yeah, so thank you for your attention, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
And guys.
By the way, where is the box stuff?